feed our material underneath of the pinch rollers. Then we're going to walk around to the front of the machine to set the pinch rollers over these white strips. Once we have our pinch rollers in place, we lock them down using the lever on the back of the machine. We come to the dashboard and hit enter to get started. The machine asks us if we have loaded a roll, if we would like to read an edge, or if we've loaded a piece. We've loaded a roll, so we will use our arrows to scroll to roll, hit enter. The cutting head will measure the distance between the pinch rollers. I'm going to jog the material to the front where the front material sensor is, to where I'm not wasting a lot of material. Once I've reached the front, I'm going to hold in the origin button to tell the machine to start cutting here. The origin is set. We're ready to start test cutting. Now that the test cut is finished, we're ready to weed it. There is a circle around the outside that we'll weed first. Peeled away fine. There's also a square with a cross inside of it. We'll weed away the cross next. It's peeled out well as well. And the square. Now we also want to make sure that we didn't cut through the liner, which we have not. So our force and our blade depth are set properly. I do want to take a second to show you what a proper blade depth is for standard heat transfer vinyl on a 45-degree blade. All you need to show is about 2 millimeters worth of blade, and you can change that by turning the blade holder clockwise or counterclockwise. So clockwise shows more blade, exposes more of the blade tip. Counterclockwise retracts the blade tip. So you only need about 2 millimeters, or half the thickness of a credit card showing. Since we have a perfect test cut on this heat transfer vinyl, we should also take note of the force, offset, and speed settings that we have set on board. To find out what our settings are, we hit the menu button, and it shows us that we are cutting at 35 centimeters per second at 80 grams of force with a 0.25 millimeter offset. If we needed to change any one of these items, we would hit the menu button again, scroll down using the arrow keys to condition, use the right arrow, and then simply scroll up or down to the settings that need changed. Use the right arrow to change them, and then hit enter to lock those new settings in. We hit the menu button. So now that we've noted our cutting settings, it's time to reset the origin. We'll jog the cutting head to the front of the material and to the furthest left point where we get our maximum 13 inches. And we'll reset the origin by holding in the origin button, and we are ready to begin cutting. Before we can send to the cutter, I need to design my graphics. I can do that in a vector program like Corel Draw or Adobe Illustrator, or the one that Stalls provides, which is called cadworkslive.com. For today's purposes, I'll be designing in the Roland CutStudio software that comes with your machine. So I am clicking on my text button over on the left-hand side of the screen, and then clicking in the workspace where I want to begin typing. We're just going to type in Roland GS-24. We'll hit the select arrow and move the graphic to the bottom left-hand corner of the screen by clicking the Move button on the top of your screen. Since we're cutting on heat transfer vinyl, we need to mirror our image. So I'm going to go to the Object button, click, scroll down to Mirror, and then I am ready to go to File and Cutting to send to the cutter. Shows my graphic here in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, so that's where it's going to begin cutting on my material, and I can simply click my OK button. Our design is finished cutting. I'm going to take a pair of scissors, just cut it away from our piece of vinyl, and take it to our table to weed away the excess. Once we're finished weeding, we're ready to turn the design over and take it to a garment.